You're listening to Permission to Shine, the podcast by Sherisse Bisram. The Oxford Dictionary describes permission as the action of officially allowing someone to do a particular thing, consent, authorization. What if you were that someone and you gave yourself the permission to be everything you wanted to be and more? No more playing small and accepting less than. You are worthy of the life of your dreams, regardless of what it is that you've been through. And honestly, it's exactly what you've been through that has shaped you into the version of yourself that you are now. Like a diamond, you've endured so much, but instead of breaking, you have become stronger and brighter. And if that's not a reason to shine, then I don't know what is. And if nature can do it, then why the hell can't you? You are brave, you are strong, you are powerful, and you are enough. Hear my call and give yourself the permission to shine, because you don't realise how many people are inspired by your light. Like, share, follow, subscribe, and listen out for more. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, this is episode 20. I cannot believe we've got to 20 already. How mental. But I'm really excited to be joined today by Erica. And Erica, I mean, it's lovely to have you, but please tell the audience what you do, who you are, all the things.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And I'm excited for your 20th. I mean, that's amazing. You've been doing this and it's working. So awesome. Just a little bit about me. I am a life coach. I try to help people with self-love and self-worth so that I can try to get as much love back into the world as possible. So that's my mission. That's what I'm on. A little bit about myself. I think we'll get into that in the episode.
Yeah, absolutely that. And that's it. And I think that's where we connected, because both of our ethos is about, generating more love to give out to the world and beyond. And I think that's the biggest thing, because I feel like a lot of people think, oh, people are doing the same thing, or does that mean it's competition? No, it doesn't. It means that the vibration of what we're trying to achieve gets raised higher. It gets more encompassed, and everyone just feels that energy of that. I think that there doesn't need to be just one person doing something, right? I feel like that makes it individualized, when actually we're part of the oneness, aren't we? So I think that we're both working towards the same end goal, which is so beautiful. And I feel like that was something that we also touched upon when we had our little chat to begin with, which I love. And I feel like that's the golden thread there. So yes, please tell us how you got into this field of work and why it's important to you. So maybe your story and how it all began.
Okay, so the coaching thing actually was thrown into my lap. It was not something that I looked for. I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't even know that it was a career to pursue. So it kind of was dropped on me. But let me tell you a little bit of my backstory so it maybe will make a little bit more sense. I'm someone of a strong belief. I'm a Christian, and I do believe that from the beginning, I've always been a little different. Meaning in the sense of, I feel like everybody's a little different, but in the sense of like, I never really fit in with everybody. It was either they would call me bossy, or that I thought I was better. And I just never understood, because I would always just want to be friends with people or have a good little community around me. And I just didn't understand why I was always being attacked. Now, 30 years later, it makes total sense of what was going on. But yeah, a little bit about me. My childhood was a little traumatic. Didn't realize that until I was about probably 25, when I started questioning life and trying to get some answers of why I am the way I am, because the why is what really matters to people. It's what drives you, what you get your ambition from, why you work so hard is because of that why. So not understanding that why, you're kind of just going through life blind. So I'm like, I know in my heart I had this niche of wanting to help. I just didn't understand how, and how can I be the most effective to people. So trying to work through my own battles, I was forced into therapy because, again, in the African American community, asking for help or being in any type of therapy is like, what's wrong with you? Like, you have a problem? it was real taboo. So to even have to do it, but I felt again, God was pushing me in ways that had to happen for me to get a better perspective on myself so that I can help. So I was forced into therapy due to a court case, which I'll tell a little bit about that. So it all makes total sense of how just the journey matters and how each thing goes. But so traumatic upbringing, parents are divorced, mom made a lot of decisions that weren't amazing, that in turn hurt her children and gave us some issues that we needed to work out. Not here to badger or make anybody feel bad, because again, we're all humans, we make mistakes, we're kind of learning as we go. But with those mistakes, I'm a very blunt person and straightforward. And if I see something wrong, regardless, I at that point, I wasn't thinking of whose feelings I'm hurting or how I'm going to hurt. I would just say it and be like, this is wrong. I'm not with it. I need something right, because I can feel it's wrong. So that was a lot of my problems growing up, is I had an attitude, or I was bitchy, or however it would be, but it would more or less be, I stood for what was right and knew if something was wrong, yeah, I'm not for it. And however people want to get upset about it, it was just something that was a problem for me. So taking that into my adulthood, I was always very clear that, the things that I could pay attention to and I was aware of what my parents did wrong, I wanted to make right for my child or my children moving forward. So I was a workaholic, and due to that was the fact of needing reassurance that I was good enough and I did have something to contribute. So that meant being at work all day like a crazy person, overworking myself and never actually taking time for who I was. So I was in the corporate world working for a very prestigious doctor in Santa Monica for about 10 years, like a crazy person there from 7 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night, and just crazy. I get pregnant, and a month before I have my son, he fires me because I wasn't going to be available as much as he needed. So it was a very narcissistic relationship, but I was drawn to it due to the fact of my abuse of being with a narcissistic mom and dad. So it was comfortable, but again, not knowing. So that's the thing, is like, I love my job because I can help people start to be aware of those trauma bonds and why they're so connected and feel so in tuned with people when it could actually be harmful versus actually helping. So fast forward, the case needed me to go to therapy to get the case full. So it was a forced thing, no options around it. Couldn't talk myself out of it, which in turn, I thank God every day for it, because it let me see things for what they truly are versus what my mind made up in my mind. So that's where my healing process started. And I would say that was about the age of 31 when my son was born. Um, and just feeling so good to be able to drop those bricks was life-changing in itself. And the more the bricks dropped, the clearer I saw things made more sense, started putting puzzles together, and I'm like, oh, life is actually a really good place to be when it starts feeling good, because a lot of people go through life like, life is miserable, it's suffering, it's this. Yeah, if you stay there. But if you start to heal yourself, you actually get to enjoy all of the beautiful things that are here. And so with the pandemic and everything, so with the 10-year thing, it made me trigger my mind to say, do not give yourself to someone else's dream and bury your own, because at the drop of a dime, you could be let go and replaced, and no one even thinks about you, cares if your kid has insurance or food to eat. It's like, that's not good enough. Goodbye. So at that point, it made me realize, be careful who you're being loyal to, because I can be loyal to a fault, where I will be loyal to, I'm dragging, and they're like, it's like, let go. And I'm like, I don't want to do anything wrong, but that will kill you. And at the end of the day, if you're not taking care of you, no one will. And you'll be left there hanging by a thread with nothing. So that dropped me down to a very low position where I was making a very good amount of money to nothing. But it also showed me how life is not about that. how you are going to be fine regardless of the situation that life puts you in and where you're going. Everything's going to work out. So so like I said, the journey in itself teaches you everything. So there's never a point you can miss. Don't try to skip through it. You need it all to make you the person you need to be when you're in your purpose and doing your job. So in a nutshell, then COVID happened. I didn't feel fulfilled at my new job that I was at. I was managing a water company in Nevada. I knew my capabilities and I was only using 40% of it. So I was like, I don't feel good. I feel stressed out with not even producing what I can produce. So my sister was like, I think you would be a good life coach. And I was like, no, who wants to hear about me? This broken old person. Like I don't know anything to tell people. And she's like, no, you give really good advice and you're very intuitive and compassionate and you can feel people. And again, back to the journey, I can feel people the way I do because of the things I've been through. And if I didn't have any of those things, I couldn't understand how it feels to be on the other side. So yeah, I've been a life coach now for about 4.5 years. I love it. Like I told you when we met, it's not like I'm going to be rich in this job, but I am rich in life because of the gifts it gives me, so I am fulfilled. I love it. I want to just keep going and touch as many people as I possibly can.
Yes, absolutely that. And thank you so much. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I was nodding, I was clicking, I was like,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely, because I'm
Yeah.
in that with you. And the reason why I do this is for the same reasons you do, that turbulent upbringing, the constant setbacks and obstacles in the road that we've had to navigate through to get you there. And that has been a journey in itself. And so much of what you were saying, like down to being aggressive or like seen as like being too hard or like that person that's outspoken all the time, that was me too, because of trauma. And it's those things. And like you said, it's all about the journey. Every single part of it is what makes you who you are, makes you unique, and gives you those gifts, right? And I always thought that when I was younger and I was going through it all, I was like, there's got to be a reason for this. The universe, God, they wouldn't put you through this for no reason. And I feel like now when I'm able to deliver to people and I just have that connection with someone, I feel that so deeply with every part of me that, this is what it was all for. And that's such a wonderful feeling, isn't it? And I love that you're in that space too, because that for me is what I call the alchemy, the alchemizing of the pain that you experience into who you are now, like what I like to call the liquid gold. It's these beautiful, beautiful things. And I love that, in this work, and especially when it's integral, is that you're open and honest. Like, I went to therapy. I needed that. I needed to see that for myself. And the self-awareness part, that is like my jam. It's like, if you are not aware of yourself, your feelings, your emotions, you are just walking around like a zombie. You are just existing. You have no idea how you're coming across to people or why you're accepting the things you are. It's all these deep layered things that we are so passionate about, right? Because we see the impact of what it feels like to not have that, but also the significant difference it makes from knowing that and having those boundaries based on the respect you have for yourself, because you have that awareness. And I can't stress that enough. I feel like in every episode I mention that at some point, because that really is the key to a successful, fulfilled life for me, in whatever success looks like for anyone. But I just want to sort of, like, as we progress through, to the next stage of the episode, I just kind of want to touch upon any like obstacles that you've faced continuously. So like since you've done the work, and you've moved on through your life now and you're in this successful space in your life, we all go through seasons, right? Emotionally, there's always ups and downs. And would you say that there's any point in your life now that an old like thing comes back, or it's like a repeat, or there's something in your life that's a reminder? And as we know, as you heal, it gets less and less. But what is that one thing for you, and how are you processing that?
So I would have to say, most of my family have been pretty good with seeing the difference in me, but I feel like they can't let who I was completely go. So it's a constant, oh, here comes the aggressive part of her again, or the controlling part. And I'm like, that's not me anymore. And why do you keep having that as my narrative? What is your purpose of keep trying to put me in that box? And I had to take a step back and realize that a lot of the times it's not about me, it's about them and where they are. And if they say that you're doing better, then it's going to cause for them to have to do some mirror work and look at themselves. So to keep me in the same place that I was feels better for them.
I literally agree with you so much. That is so much my life too. And it's exactly, that's their problem, not a you problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
And people will only see you as they are. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
is the key, isn't it, in that situation? But I think it just reinforces you why growth is important, doesn't it? That thing is that, that was so spot on to like everything in my life. And there's certain people in my life that it will always be that, and when it's family, you can't cut them out. So it's just, I mean, you can cut people out if it really gets to that stage. But equally, it's like that compassion card, isn't it? It's understanding that actually that person doesn't have the capacity to understand you more because they'll never understand themselves more. So it's just about, small doses, airs and graces, and
boundaries.
actually, boundaries. You don't have to give too much of yourself away or prove yourself. And that must have come up for you, right, in this game. Like for me, that need to prove myself and be worthy and deserving. Now I don't have to do that. I already feel it, so I'm good. But the old version of me, oh my gosh, I would have told you to the cows come home how worthy and valid I was, because I didn't believe it. When you are, you don't have to tell people, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, healed or not, it still cuts because it's like you don't see, but like you said, when you know your worth and what you do and how you do, it's the less of the explanation. It's like, okay, I hear you. Have a good day. Yeah,
for sure. Absolutely. I'm with that with you. So what was your top tips? Like what's in your bag of tools that you like to teach with or deliver with, or part of your routine that's got you to where you are now? Like, if you could list like 3 main things that you do that made a significant difference in your life, that things you do daily, something along those lines.
So my 3 go-to, and I give this to everybody on their first free 30 minutes just so they can see how significant these things will help, is number 1, stop thinking that taking care of yourself is selfish. Because if you're not good and your cup is not full, just like your battery, if your battery on your phone is not 100%, you can't do anything on it. It's dead. You can't give it to nothing. You can't look up anything. You can't research. Same thing with the human. If you don't take care of yourself and have a full battery, you have nothing to give anybody that comes your way. Number 2 is I try to start them on a 28 day habit change of positive thinking. So down to very little things. Like my thing is coffee. If I take a sip of my coffee and I burn myself, I'll give myself the grace to be like, okay, you burned yourself, you're okay. But then I automatically replace that negative with a positive to tell myself you should be grateful to even have a coffee. Some people don't even have that option. So I tried to have them pay attention to how many negative thoughts that are going through their brain on a daily basis and just stop them and replace it with a positive. Because even healed, there's going to be life that throws things your way. But if you can see that in a better light and take a lesson from it, or what should I be learning from it, you handle problems better and your solutions come out better. And then my last thing is meditation. Meditating for me, it has been an extreme life change. I cannot stress it the most. When I first get people, they're like, meditation, yeah, I tried it. I said, yeah, but you need to be consistent. It's like a muscle. So you have to be on top of it and do it. And I'm telling you, once you're consistent and do it daily, I mean, even 3 to 5 minutes a day will change your entire world. And so some of them are like, oh, I can't do it. But then some of them come back just that next week and it's like, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah, it's magic, like magic. So those are my 3 go-tos. Still to this day, our brain is away, you know, and especially if I'm almost 40, so my brain has always had like a negative thought process. So to change it to the positive is taking time, and it's always going to be something. So I always have to check in with myself and say, are you being more uplifting, or and are you being a Debbie Downer? So just having those awarenesses really helps people be in a better mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm like, yes, absolutely. These are all of the things that I would say myself, even down to like the cup full. That is like, I'm number one advocate for that, because I live my life in martyr mode, like, you know, doing everything for everyone. And that's
Yeah.
the trauma, isn't it? You know, you feel like you've got to make up for the gaps that are in in your life, in other
Mm-hmm.
people's lives. And it's all of that. And the self-reflection, you know, it's so important, all of it. And meditation, like I now at a point where I meditate twice a day, because
Okay.
the fear of me being what I was before keeps me consistent. That is it. And we talk about fear in a way, often people are like, oh no, you need to eradicate fear, but you know, there's polarity to everything. So for me,
Yeah.
knowing that I do not want to feel the way I used to feel before, and meditation is so peaceful and a release to so
Yeah.
much in my life, that it's just necessary, you know, first thing in the morning
Yep.
and last thing at night. It just sets me up. And in fact, that I would say this year's been a real roller coaster for me, emotionally, energetically. There's been a lot of things that have happened, you know, in my personal life, in to do with other people actually, that I love and I care about. And obviously in the work that we do, you know, you want to help as much as you can, but within reason. And I think in that space, you know, my tools and practices have saved me, you know, kept me
Yeah.
level-headed, kept me embracing my emotions, which is something I never used to do. You know, I bottled it all up and I'd be angry. Whereas, you know, this consistent practice of, you know, releasing, checking in, being mindful, all of these things are so necessary that I can't sing it enough, that, you know, your life will change drastically in that time, you know, even down to this week, especially. Every morning I wake up, as soon as I open my eyes, I'm like, today's going to be an incredible day. And it has been
Yeah.
every single day, you know, and it's
Nice.
because I set that tone every day.
Yeah.
And I've always been mindful of that. Like, oh, I've got this to do today, or, you know, this is going to go well. But, you know, to be very specific and say to the universe or God or whoever it is that you speak to, you know, that today's going to be an incredible day. And I said
The
it at the start.
intention.
Yeah, at the start of the week, I was really clear on this is what's going to happen. And for me, I feel like the weather really affects my mood as well. So when the sun's out, I'm thriving. But what I now do as well is I imagine myself as a solar panel, because I live in the UK. Obviously, the weather's up and down, and I just soak up the sun. And I'm like, this is going to carry me through the days that aren't as bright.
Nice.
And then I've got it to tap into. But yeah, I guess both of us really, we're just saying that the more you understand yourself and you treat yourself as that priority, everyone else is going to benefit from that. And
Yeah.
that is the
hmm
beautiful thing, isn't it, about life, is that,
Yeah.
you know, I think a lot of coaches and mentors speak about, it's like the oxygen mask thing, isn't it? You have to make sure your mask's on first
That was
before
a
you
hard
help
one for
someone
me.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was for me
Yeah.
too. I think
hmm
that sacrifice is something that you become so integral to who you are, and you feel validated by it. And that's the toxic part of that, isn't it? It's the
Yeah.
validation you get from being
hmm
that one that's always available, always there to support everyone.
hmm
And then people are upset when you're not there anymore. And that's a shift, isn't it?
hmm
That's a transition.
hmm
But I wouldn't change any of what happens in my life and all
Yeah.
of the journey I've done to get here. And the people that I've lost along the way, it's been sad, but not as sad as it would have been if I stayed the same person, you know?
Right.
And that's the
Right.
crystal clear part of all of this, isn't it? Is that we're in
Yeah.
this space together. And yeah, I mean, I guess on that, when would you say was like the real iconic moment in your life where you gave yourself the permission to be the version of yourself now? Like, what was that iconic moment? You know, when we all have that time where like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to feel like this anymore. When was it for you?
So it's funny that you use the mask, because when my son was first born, it was all about my son. I need to be good for him. I need to do this for him. But it was him, 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 him. He was probably about 6 months to 8 months old, and we get on a flight, and the flight attendant comes to my seat and she says, if anything happens, make sure you put your oxygen mask on first and then your baby. And I was like, wait, what? No, like, I'm going to make sure my little boy is okay and then me. And she goes, ma'am, if you pass out, then who's going to take care of him? And so that duration of the flight, that sunk into me so deeply that it made me think like, okay, okay. If I am sad, depressed, postpartum, just not in a good mood, how good of a mom can I be for him, really? How? I can pretend, but the thing about kids are you can smile, but they know what your heart feels like. They have such a good intuition with you that it's like they're you, you're them for a very small period of time because they just came out of your womb. Like he was me, you know? And your kids can feel that. So you can walk around smiling and laughing all you want when your heart is bleeding and you're sad. Your kids feel your energy and that's how they respond. So my son would be crying a lot, very whiny, never understood why. And it was because of my internal energy of not being good for me to give that to him. So that's when it was I didn't make everything right away, but it was like an aha, like, okay, Erica, don't say you want to do something. You actually intentionally need to make some changes for yourself. And then in tune, you can be better for him. Like you said, the brighter your light shines, the brighter you are for other people. And that's what I give my clients. I said, there is a big responsibility that comes with this. And if you're not willing to do it, then my program's probably not the one for you. But my thing is the healthier you get, the more people you need to touch and be shining for. That's your job after leaving my program is I would like you to touch so that it can just spread like a light. You know how you could touch it and the next person's light turns on and then it just, that's what my vision is for my healing is I'm going to help you and I'm going to leave you a lot healthier than you were prior to coming. But then I need you to touch as many people as you possibly can on your way out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so beautiful how you've used that and how we both use the term light, shining your light
Yeah.
as an
Mm-hmm.
analogy is beautiful. There's been lots of actually synchronicities in the words that we use. And I think it's not from any rhetoric we've heard, it's just from our soul, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the most
Right.
beautiful thing. But thank you for sharing that story about your son and that understanding, because I think that's so spot on. And there'll be a lot of parents that are listening to this thinking the same thing, that they've, oh my gosh, it's my son. But I always say that to everyone, you can't, especially with the kids, I've seen that firsthand in my own family about how the babies are so responsive to the mother's energy. And I had a reading done and they said to me, you were born into trauma. And I was like, whoa, like I didn't clock it. And now when I think back, I'm like, yeah, I probably was. Now I was always a happy baby, but it was turbulent in my life. But even seeing it again later as an adult in my family, I just think I've always said that. I'm always like, the babies can feel your energy. And that's the spot on analogy for everything we speak about is the fact that this is the core of it. You are the center of your universe and how you feel about you is dictated in everything and everyone around you. And like you said, if your light can shine out onto your clients and then their light shines out onto them. And I say that in my talks all the time. It's like if everyone in this room was shining and we kept expanding that light, how much of a better place would this world be?
Yeah.
And that just summarizes us, right? Where we're at right now in life and why it's so important and all of those amazing things. So yeah, absolutely. No, thank you for all of those analogies as well. And, just sharing your life in this space as well. I always like to kind of like round off or summarize in the episode a bit of a soul to soul message. So whether it's like a message to your younger self or whether it's just aligning with whoever's listening and you feel like they need to hear this right now, could be like a message from spirit or whatever that wants to come through you. And it's my soul to soul segment. So is there anything right now that you feel like for someone listening that's going through a hard time or not sure or, whatever, what would your advice or words be to them?
I would say that my advice to anybody that needs anything at this point is really take the time to set aside everything else, everyone's cares and worries, and really find you. Because the true happiness comes within. It's not you helping everybody, it's not a spouse or a child, it's nothing. That is, you have it in you. So all I'm asking for you to do is try to find that happiness for yourself, that self-awareness, so that you can just start feeling better, and then everything else kind of will roll up and make you want to be better in every other aspect of your life. So just try to do a little bit of soul searching and digging and find out who that true self is. Own it and love it.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's so beautiful and so spot on, really, And you used the term selfish earlier, which I've used a few times. We're just so taught that it should be about sacrifice. It should be about going above and beyond for everyone else. But like you said, if you pass out, who's looking after everyone else around you? Who's looking after your kids,
Right.
your dog, or even, just you wanting to
Anything.
achieve the things you want to do in your life? If you're not
Right.
looking after yourself, everything suffers, absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for just all of that. And yeah, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you're working on at the moment? How can people connect with you or work with you? What is that you've got going on?
So I do offer a free 30-minute little session to everybody. It's not extensive, and you're not going to get a lot from it. But even if you can't afford anything else or whatever, that can help you get on a little bit of a journey, because I do try to dig a little bit. Clearly, that's not enough time to get through people's trauma and stuff like that. But like those tools I gave, I can give a little bit more of an individualized tools that may work. As far as any books or anything like that, I don't have any of that. My main focus is touching as many souls as possible.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. And your socials, they can just, and your website will put in the description,
Yeah.
if anything anyone wants to connect with. I was going to ask you, Erica, I don't know if you're into astrology or not, but what is your star sign?
My star sign?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What
What
when's
does
your
that mean?
birthday? When's your birthday?
April 19th.
So you might be a Taurus
I'm
then.
an Aries.
You're Aries. Okay.
Yeah, Aries.
Fire sign. Yeah, I just wondered, because sometimes when I connect with people, I wonder if they're a fire sign or the same sign as me, because we have this passion. And I think fire signs especially have this burning passion for whatever it is they're doing. And I think you had that very clearly. And it's almost like we've lived very similar lives in different parts of the world and different timelines.
Yeah.
But I think it's like there's a thing about soul families, and I feel like people that I've been connecting with on my podcast, especially, I'm like, this is so weird that we've just, like there's like weird transitions. I'm like, how do we connect like this? But I love that, because I think this is what the universe is doing for us, or God, is that connecting us so we can shine our light.
That's how he works.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that so much. So it's been really a beautiful honor to speak with you and just, gain and share our light together, really, and illuminate whoever's listening, really, which is the aim of the podcast, which I love. But yes, thank you so much for joining me. And
absolutely.
I feel like it was really succinct today. I feel like you were so articulate in what you needed to say. You shared your story. It was like, we got it all in there. It was ready. You were like, that's it, let's go. But thank you everyone for listening to this episode this week. And I hope everyone has a great week. And thank you, Erica, for joining.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sherisse Bisram, Inner Power Activation Leader for Women. If you are ready to up-level, to elevate, to ignite your inner flame, to burn everything you once were, to trailblaze into your future, into all of your manifestations and more, then head to my website to book a free 30-minute alignment call. I have one-to-one containers available for 90 days and 180 days. I also have an online program for 6 weeks. It's a group program for women called Permission to Shine. That's also available as a self-study as well. I have a journal available on Etsy as well as worksheets. There's multiple ways to work with me, and I'm here to help you. You deserve to shine, to be the most amazing, most confident, fearless version of yourself. What are you waiting for?